That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so Solomon maybe has requested this video 10 times now. I am very sorry for just now getting it out to you, my man. But nonetheless, let's talk about Javonte Williams, a running back that I will admit at the very beginning of the offseason, I clowned on. I mean, we were looking at this dynasty value. We were looking at a lot of people ranking him over Travis Etienne, and I was going, this doesn't make sense. I simply can't buy into the fact that the NFL is viewing him through the same light. I can't buy into the fact that they think he's a first-round pick right away with Travis Etienne. So for that reason, I'm going to believe that he is overvalued in Dynasty. But honestly, my questions are answered. I am very excited to invest into him this offseason. And of course, we are going to dive into all of that. But I have a few exciting announcements. The first thing is we have an official date and time for the Flock Meetup. Now, the Flock Meetup is going to be June 19th, Saturday at 6 p.m. And the location is going to be the Jester King Brewery. So, no, this is not a sponsor for them. This is not an ad. They don't even know we're showing up. I'm just knowing that they have a ton of outdoor seating. I know that they have a ton of just long tables that we can just sit at and chat. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. There will be drinks. There will be some good times going. Please, if you have any interest in showing up, come by. I am moving out of Texas, so this is going to be your one time to participate in a Flock Meetup. So it's going to be in Austin, Texas, June 19th, Saturday, 6 p.m. Of course, we'll be making more announcements. I've already made this announcement over on Patreon. We'll be making this on Twitter, Instagram, really anywhere. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions. And real quick, I will say that all Dynasty team write-ups from now on are going to be through the form of podcast. I know that we've been getting those out pretty much as long-form articles where I've been sitting here for hours writing up your team. But no, from now on, I'm going to be doing it as podcasts. That way I can also publish it on Patreon and have some other members of the Patreon community be listening to the podcast. Maybe they have some of their own opinions on what you should be doing with your team, with trades, roster construction. But of course, you probably already know that by now. So let's get into it. Javonte Williams. Now, there are a few exciting things with the Javonte Williams profile here. First thing we have to point out is, I mean, obviously it's a red flag when Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, they're coming into the NFL at 22, 23 years old. I mean, you literally hate to see it. You never see running backs really stay that long in college unless there's a reason behind it. But no, Javonte Williams comes out at 21. And no, we are not excited about him coming out at 21 because it means we get Javonte Williams for an extra year in the NFL. No, that is very bad analysis. But what matters is if you look at the historical hit rate for a player in a certain range, actually coming out at 21 years old compared to 22 or 23 raises their hit rate. Now, if you really think about this, it should be obvious in that a player coming out at 21 years old, they're nothing close to a finished product. I mean, that's younger than I am right now. I can't even imagine stepping onto an NFL football field. So, of course, a player like Javonte Williams is going to get to the league, is going to get drafted at a certain point based on his given skill set, and then he's going to be able to continue to develop past that. So you love to see that one box checked. But more importantly, and this is the box that I had questions with Javonte Williams, and I was wrong at the beginning of this offseason, and I'm happy to admit it. Javonte Williams gets the team investment. Javonte Williams gets the NFL draft capital that makes him an extremely appealing option, given how this is going to mean that he gets opportunity his rookie season. So what we end up having is we have the Denver Broncos trading their second and fourth round picks, which are both at the very top of each round, all the way up to the 203 so they can select Javonte Williams. Now they jump the Miami Dolphins. I think that we can all naturally assume that if Miami had an opportunity to draft Javonte, they would have. But this is exciting news because it means that Denver is going to be getting Javonte Williams a guaranteed shot to be their starting running back. I mean, unless you're Rashad Penny, you literally never get drafted inside the top 40 picks of the NFL draft and do not get a shot at the running back position. I mean, at the running back position, it is so easy to look at this team investment and understand how to correlate that to at least opportunity. Now, of course, we have to go beyond that. We have to try to identify what they are going to do with that opportunity, but that is one of the biggest boxes to check at the running back position. Now, if y'all read the rookie draft guide available over there on Patreon, there are a few more boxes, and we do have our established thresholds based on the historical research that we've done, which is obviously all included in the rookie draft guide. But the other boxes that we have are we need to see a good BMI indicating that a running back can play on all three downs. Here, Javonte Williams has a BMI of 30.4. Now, this isn't a lot higher than what we have the threshold for, but we do have the threshold at 30.0. So Javonte Williams does have the size to be a 3-down running back, and he also has the speed. He comes in, runs a 4.57 40-yard dash. Now, if you look historically, that threshold that we have set is a 4.60, so it doesn't beat the threshold by a lot. I mean, obviously, you'd prefer Javonte Williams to be in the low 4.5s, especially on his pro day when we know those times are a little bit skewed, but you at least like to see the box checked. And now with Javonte Williams, something that does not get discussed nearly enough is the fact that he is not only more than capable in the receiving game, but he is a great receiving running back. So we have the threshold for identifying a running back's receiving capabilities coming into the NFL is 8.5% of their team's targets in college. And here Javonte Williams was actually able to accumulate more than 9% of his team targets, which, I mean, isn't extremely impressive on its own right. But what is impressive is the fact that he was playing alongside another NFL running back in Michael Carter Jr. And I know we're not making a Michael Carter Jr. video right now, but pretty much anybody who has a bullish case on Michael Carter Jr. just talks about, hey, he's a great receiver. He's a great receiver. He's a great receiver. So given the fact that Javonte Williams was able to go through and beat our minimum threshold for his receiving production, and he was playing with another receiving running back on the roster, I mean, that makes it even more impressive. You love to see that from Javonte Williams. Now, what's going to be a little bit less important, but what I do still want to talk about is what he was able to do at UNC with his overall production. So in 2019, this was really the first year that he was able to come on the scene. So here he is only 19 years old. And at 19 years old, he averages 12.7 carries a game, 1.3 receptions, and 85 total yards a game. Now, this obviously isn't that impressive, but what is impressive is how he is able to build onto it in 2020. So in 2020, he comes out and he averages 14.3 carries a game. Obviously, with Michael Carter Jr. on the roster, you're not going to be expecting that number up in the 20s. He averages 2.3 receptions, 131 total yards. So you see the efficiency just skyrocket from where it was in 2019. And this is what you expect with a running back that's now 20 years old. I mean, he is starting to grow into himself, and he does get 2 touchdowns a game with Michael Carter Jr. in that same backfield. So don't want to focus in too much on the production at the running back position because we know that isn't nearly as correlated to fantasy success at the next level as you have with the wide receiver position. But nonetheless, what I would want to talk about is the situation that you have in Denver right now, and this is why you can get excited. Because not only do you have the team investment of this team essentially spending an early second and an early 4th round pick to go up and get Javonte Williams, but if you look at the rest of the running back room, obviously you have Phillip Lindsay no longer there. And with Melvin Gordon, the running back that they brought in last offseason, I mean, he is not under contract for 2022. Literally, he only has money in 2021, and that is it. So obviously, Melvin Gordon is going to be a player that's only on the roster in 2021. And I have heard a few people speculating that Melvin Gordon is a potential cut candidate. But if you actually pull up the contract details, I would be very surprised if this happens. I mean, he does have $6.5 million in dead cap in 2021. It seems like a lot of money for only an $8 million contract. I doubt they would be willing to cut Melvin Gordon to save 15% of the contract at the very best, especially once they already lose Phillip Lindsay. I think they would prefer just to go with the committee this upcoming season. Melvin Gordon has been a capable pass catcher in the past. And now in 2020, what I do want to focus in on from the Denver Broncos last year was what they were actually able to do on the ground. So, you know, a lot of times if you're looking at team rushing statistics, they're going to be thrown off from what you're expecting with the overall running back room compared to the overall numbers, given the fact that if you're a Baltimore Ravens, if you're an Arizona Cardinals, last year if you're a New England Patriots, I mean, having a rushing quarterback is going to be adding a decent amount of carries a game, a decent amount of rushing yards a game, as well as rushing touchdowns on the overall season to kind of skew your numbers a little bit top heavy. So when you have that pocket passing quarterback like a Drew Lock, I mean, you're not expecting this team to be anywhere near the top of the NFL in what they were able to do with their carries, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns from last year. But surprisingly, they were actually 13th in carries, 13th in yards. Now, they did get a little bit unlucky in the rushing touchdown category. This should also be expected for an offense that does have poor efficiency marks, because we know you're going to be expecting less trips to the red zone. But nonetheless, you do have this team going out and being above average with the production that they're able to give their overall running back room, which is exciting for a player like Javonte Williams. If you're looking at their offensive line, now they do not make many significant investments this offseason. They do draft a center in the 3rd round. No big free agent moves. It looks like their offensive line mainly stayed intact to build that chemistry. And if you look across offensive line rankings for 2021, I'll be the first one to admit that I am no offensive line expert. I mean, I could probably name you a total of 10 offensive linemen in the entire NFL and nothing outside of that. So obviously, we're going to be outsourcing that. I can't sit here and come up with my own offensive line grades. But if you look, it looks like a lot of people have Denver as either an average or above average offensive line graded going into 2021, which should be a bullish case for Javonte Williams, especially when this unit was able to stay intact. Now, the clear problem is this is going to be one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I mean, it's hard to be looking at a quarterback room of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock and saying this is an offense that has the upside of a Kansas City Chiefs. This is an offense that has the upside of a Buffalo Bills. No, that's not the case. I mean, very rarely are you ever going to have a quarterback of this caliber being able to make this team a top 10 team in overall points scored. Now, if there was ever a team that was going to do that, it would be the Denver Broncos, in that they have an elite skill positional group around whoever their starting quarterback is going to be this upcoming season. I mean, Cortland Sutton already reporting that he's going to be 100% healthy for training camp. Jerry Jeudy taking that next step forward. KJ Hamler, I know KJ Hamler's not a super exciting fantasy option, but he does have that elite speed to stretch the field for the Denver Broncos. And also Noah Fant, one of the best receiving tight ends in the entire NFL. So maybe the supporting cast can raise the efficiency of the offense and allowing them to have more trips to the red zone, which you know you want for your running backs. But if you look at Javonte Williams right now, I mean, there is a very clear answer on where he should be going in fantasy drafts. I mean, the only answer is at the 109, because you go through, and even if you pull up our Patreon rookie rankings, our rookie draft guide, you go over to Patreon, look at our rookie ADP, whatever it is, I mean, everything just screams Javonte Williams, 109, 109, 109. I mean, if you look at our most recent rookie ADP in Superflex leagues, you have Travis Etienne at the 107, Zach Wilson at the 108, and Javonte Williams at the 109, right ahead of Devonta Smith. Now, this is going to be a massive teardrop. After the 109, you are seeing that teardrop. So if you like Javonte Williams and you're sitting at the 111, hey man, I would advise you ASAP to go offer that 111 and a future 2nd-round pick to move up just 2 spots to get to the 109, so you have an option to take Javonte Williams. But to be honest, sometimes you don't even have to do that. I mean, if we go through all the Flock Patreon leagues right now, there are some spots where you're actually having Javonte Williams fall past the 109. Now, if you go to the Flock 2, he fell to the 110. That is a 2-quarterback league, so Mac Jones went ahead of him, and I can't argue too much about it. Now, in the Flock 3, he went at the 110. The Flock 5, he went at the 112. The Flock 6, 110. Flock 7, 110. Flock 9, 111. And outside of that, mainly you're just seeing 109, 109, 109, 109. Nobody's really even considering taking him over a Zach Wilson, a Travis Etienne, which I know I definitely wouldn't. But if you're sitting at the 109, I mean, it's going to be an easy selection this year, because I am viewing Javonte Williams as a running back that's going to be playing in a committee this season at only 21 years old. But going into 2022, this should be a running back that turns into a bell cow guy, because he checks the boxes you look for. He has the team investment. He has the size. He has the athleticism. He has the receiving down capability. So Javonte Williams, very exciting. Obviously, if this team trades for Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be seeing the Javonte Williams ADP just go through the roof. I mean, at that point, I would assume that you would have people arguing for Javonte Williams over Zach Wilson, over Travis Etienne, given the fact that you guarantee yourself that he is attached to that elite quarterback, as well as having the backfield to his own in 2022. So yeah, I would advise you right now, if you can, go move a player like David Montgomery for Javonte Williams. Now, maybe you lose out on some 2021 production, but in the long haul, I think you would be very excited about that bet. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Of course, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, It helps us out a ton. And if you really want to help out the channel, you really want to support and get some awesome perks in return, you could also go down there, join the flock on Patreon. It means a ton. And I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow. Thank you so much for everybody supporting the show. In John, Raymond, Jordan, Andrew, Walter, Dwayne, Evan, Eamon, Q, and Use the Nerd. Thank you guys.